The teacup shattered against the marble floor, its delicate blue and white pieces scattering like fallen stars. My children's heads snapped toward me in perfect synchronization, their faces morphing from annoyance to practiced concern. "Mom!" Taylor rushed over, her designer heels clicking against the floor. "Are you okay? This is exactly what we've been worried about. I'm Layla, and I've never been more clear-headed in my life. Even as I stand here, watching my children pick through my husband's belongings like vultures, just 3 weeks after we laid him to rest." "I'm so sorry," I mumbled, making my voice shakier than necessary. I could have sworn I placed it on the table. The social worker, Ms. Peters, scribbled something in her notepad. "Perfect. See what we mean?" Flynn whispered to her, not quite soft enough. "It's been getting worse since Dad passed." Lexi, my youngest, patted my arm with manufactured sympathy. "Maybe you should sit down, Mom. We can handle the rest of the house tour." I let them guide me to Zion's favorite armchair, the only piece Taylor hadn't yet marked for safekeeping in her home. As I sank into its familiar leather embrace, I remembered the conversation I'd overheard 2 nights ago, standing silent in the darkened hallway while my children plotted in the kitchen. "Lavender Hills is the best option," Taylor had insisted. "It's expensive, but with Mom's condition deteriorating, we need to protect the estate. Dad would have wanted us to take charge. Flynn had agreed too quickly." "The social worker's assessment will seal the deal. Mom's been so confused lately." Only Lexi had hesitated. "Are we sure about this? Mom taught English for 40 years. She's always been sharp as a tack." "Oh, please," Taylor had scoffed. "Did you see her looking for Dad's reading glasses yesterday? The ones he was wearing when we buried him?" Now, watching them parade Miss Peters through my home, I thought about my meeting with Royal last week. My longtime lawyer had raised his eyebrows when I outlined my plan, but he understood. He'd known Zion and me for 30 years. He'd watched our children grow up, and he'd watched them change. "Mom," Taylor's voice cut through my thoughts. "Ms. Peters needs to ask you a few questions." The social worker settled onto the sofa across from me, her kind face masking professional assessment. "Mrs. Mitchell, can you tell me what day it is?" I pretended to struggle, counting on my fingers. "Tuesday. No, Wednesday? The days seem to blur together since Zion—" I let my voice crack. Flynn stepped forward, right on cue. "It's Friday, Mom. Remember? We discussed this at breakfast." I hadn't seen Flynn at breakfast. He hadn't visited in 3 days. "Friday," I echoed, adding a tremor to my hand as I reached for a tissue. "Of course. Silly me." Ms. Peters continued her evaluation while my children hovered, exchanging meaningful glances. I answered some questions correctly, others with carefully crafted confusion. When asked about my medications, I listed half of them wrong. Taylor jumped into help, revealing how closely she'd studied my prescriptions. "And how are you managing with the house?" Ms. Peters asked. "Oh, I glanced around the room, letting my gaze settle on the empty space where Zion's reading chair used to sit. Sometimes I think I see him there, reading his paper. He loved that chair. Where did it go?" The room went silent. That chair had been moved to Taylor's house last week. "Mom," Lexi said gently, "we talked about this. Remember, you agreed it was better to clear some space." I hadn't agreed to anything, but I nodded vaguely, watching Ms. Peters make another note. After she left, my children gathered in the kitchen, voices low but carrying. I stood in the hallway, just like 2 nights ago, and listened. "The assessment went perfectly," Taylor said. "With this and the doctor's report, we can move forward with Lavender Hills next week." "Did you see how she kept looking for that teacup?" Flynn added. "Royal won't be able to argue with this," I smiled to myself, thinking of the documents already safely in Royal's possession. My children had always underestimated me, assuming that grief had softened my mind along with my heart. They forgot who taught them to play chess, who helped them craft their college application essays, who managed the family's finances while their father built his business. They forgot that a mother sees everything. I walked back to the broken teacup, still scattered across the floor. It was my favorite, a wedding gift from Zion. I had dropped it on purpose, of course. Sometimes you have to break something precious to protect everything else. "Mom," Taylor called out, "don't touch that glass. We'll clean it up." "Of course, dear," I called back, my voice wavering just enough. "I just can't seem to remember where I put the dustpan. Lavender Hills smells like artificial flowers and hidden despair. I've been here 3 days, and already I can tell which smiles are genuine and which are painted on like the cheerful murals decorating every wall. "Good morning, Mrs. Layla." Harper, the morning shift caregiver, breezed into my room. She's different from the others. Her smile reaches her eyes. "Ready for breakfast?" I deliberately fumbled with my cardigan buttons. "Is Zion joining us today?" The flash of genuine sympathy in Harper's eyes made me feel almost guilty. Almost. "Your husband passed away last month, remember?" She helped me with the buttons, her hands gentle. "But your children are coming to visit this afternoon." "Oh, yes," I said, adding a slight tremor to my voice. "Taylor arranged it. Or was it Flynn? Sometimes their faces blur together. In the dining room, I picked at my eggs while observing my fellow residents. Most were truly struggling with memory or mobility issues. Their confusion was real, their frustration palpable. My heart ached for them, even as I used their genuine symptoms to craft my own performance. "Mrs. Layla," Harper touched my shoulder. "Your orange juice?" I stared at the full glass, as if seeing it for the first time. I could have sworn I drank it already. Later, during group activities, I participated in memory exercises, carefully missing every third question. The activity director's encouraging smile grew more concerned with each mistake. Perfect. "Mom!" Lexi's voice carried across the common room that afternoon. She was clutching a designer handbag that could have paid for a month's stay here. "How are you settling in?" Flynn and Taylor followed behind her, both dressed for success and carrying gift bags from expensive stores. "Who?" I asked, then quickly added, "Oh, my darlings, I was just thinking about you when you were small." Taylor set her bag down and kissed my cheek. "We brought you some things to make your room more homey." They'd brought scented candles I wasn't allowed to light, framed photos I pretended not to recognize, and a cashmere throw that cost more than most of the staff made in a week. "Is that you, Flynn?" I pointed to a photo of Taylor's son. "You look so young." Flynn's face tightened. "That's Kevin, Mom. Taylor's boy. Remember? He visited you last Christmas." Of course, of course." I patted Flynn's hand. "Silly me. Is your father coming later?" The siblings exchanged loaded glances. Taylor cleared her throat. "Dad passed away, Mom. Remember we talked about this?" I let my eyes fill with tears. "But I just saw him this morning. He was reading his paper." "Mrs. Layla?" Harper appeared at my side. "Time for your medication. My children watched as Harper helped me sort through the pills. I fumbled with the cups, accidentally spilling water on Taylor's silk blouse. "I'm so sorry," I mumbled, dabbing ineffectively at the stain. "My hands aren't what they used to be." "It's fine, Mom." Taylor's smile was tight. "We should probably go anyway. We have that meeting with Royal about the estate paperwork." I pretended not to notice how they all stiffened at the mention of Royal's name. "Oh, your father's lawyer!" I brightened. "Tell him hello for me. Such a nice man, always looking out for our best interests." Flynn shifted uncomfortably. "We will, Mom. Get some rest, okay?" After they left, Harper helped me back to my room. As she turned to leave, I caught her wrist. "Harper?" "Yes, Mrs. Layla. That water spill was no accident." I winked at her, my voice suddenly clear and steady. "Silk never recovers from water stains. Taylor should know that. I taught her how to do laundry." Harper's eyes widened, then narrowed thoughtfully. She closed the door and sat in the visitor's chair. "I knew it. You're sharper than they think, aren't you?" "Sharper than they remember," I corrected, sitting straighter. "And I'd appreciate your discretion about that fact." "Of course." She leaned forward, intrigued. "But why the act?" I pulled out my journal, the one Taylor had dismissed as confused ramblings when she'd flipped through it last visit. "Because sometimes you have to play the game to win it. And believe me, there will be fireworks." "I should warn you," Harper said. "I'm terrible at keeping secrets." I smiled, thinking of the documents waiting in Royal's office. "That's perfectly fine, dear. This won't be a secret much longer." As Harper left, I opened my journal to a fresh page. Today's entry would detail Flynn's nervous glances at his watch, Taylor's calculated questions about my medication schedule, and Lexi's guilty fidgeting whenever anyone mentioned their father. Every detail mattered. Every reaction told a story. And soon, very soon, all these stories would come together in ways my children never expected. I picked up my pen and began to write. "Are you absolutely certain about this, Layla?" Royal's office felt smaller than usual that day, exactly 1 week before my children moved me into Lavender Hills. The leather chairs creaked as he leaned forward, sliding the updated will across his mahogany desk. "Read it back to me one more time," I said, running my fingers over Zion's wedding ring, still warm on its chain around my neck. Royal adjusted his glasses. "The bulk of the estate will be divided among 3 charitable foundations: the Veterans Education Fund, the Downtown Women's Shelter, and the Children's Medical Research Institute." "And my children? Each receives exactly what you specified." He shuffled through the papers. "Taylor gets the family home's antique armchair and a letter. Flynn receives the complete ledger of his business loans from Zion, totaling $847,000. Lexi gets the family photo album and documentation of her secret loan repayments." I nodded, remembering the night I discovered Lexi crying in Zion's study, begging him to help with her massive credit card debt. He'd helped her, of course. He always helped them. But he'd also kept records. "What about the addendum?" I asked. Royal pulled out another document. "All here. The transcript of Taylor pressuring Zion to sign property transfers while on heavy medication. Flynn's company's bankruptcy filings that he's been hiding. Lexi's recorded conversation about getting what's ours. And the car collection?" "Documented. Taylor transferred ownership of Zion's vintage cars to herself 2 weeks after the funeral. Current market value, $1.2 million. I signed the final paper with steady hands. They think I don't know about any of it. Are you sure you want to go through with this plan? Royal asked. The care home deception? They've made their choice, I said. Now I'm making mine. Back in my room at Lavender Hills, Harper found me reading a true crime novel about financial fraud. Light reading? She teased, setting down my afternoon tea. Research, I replied, marking my page. Tell me, Harper, why did you leave law school? She stiffened slightly. How did you? The way you read documents upside down. How you spot inconsistencies in medication charts. Little things. Harper sat down, her smile wry. 3rd year. I realized I didn't want to spend my life fighting other people's battles in courtrooms. And now? Now I fight different battles. She gestured around the care facility. Sometimes the most important justice happens in small rooms, not courthouses. I pulled out my journal. Speaking of justice, I need your help with something. Does it involve those notes you're always taking? Evidence, I corrected. Every visit, every conversation, every confused moment they think they're witnessing. Harper's eyes sparkled. I knew you were planning something bigger than just playing along. I showed her the latest entry, Flynn's visit yesterday, where he'd mentioned a friend who could help manage my assets through a special trust. Your son's trying to bypass power of attorney laws, Harper said, frowning, while Taylor's busy selling her father's car collection and Lexi's planning a vacation with money she thinks she's about to inherit. I closed the journal. They forgot that their mother taught literature for 40 years. I know all about unreliable narrators and plot twists. Harper's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then showed me the screen. Speaking of plot twists, it was a voice memo, accidentally uploaded to the family group chat by Lexi. I can't take much more of this, Taylor. Mom's insane stubbornness about the house deed. I mean, we're just trying to get what's ours before she gives it all away to some random charity like she's been threatening. Save that, I said quietly. Already done. Harper paused. You know, I've seen a lot of families fight over inheritances, but this isn't about inheritance anymore, I interrupted. This is about truth, consequences, things my children seem to have forgotten exist. Later that night, I added the voice memo incident to my journal. Next to it, I pasted a small photo of Zion and me on our last anniversary. He was already sick then, but his eyes were clear when he'd squeezed my hand and whispered, Promise me you'll make them earn our name, Layla. A knock at my door interrupted my writing. Harper entered, holding a manila envelope. This just came from your lawyer, she said. Marked urgent. Inside was a signed confession from Neil, our former financial consultant. It detailed every unauthorized transfer, every forged signature, every missing document that Taylor had orchestrated in the weeks following Zion's death. The pieces are falling into place, I murmured. Like a chess game, Harper suggested. No, I said, tucking the confession into my journal. Like karma. The family group chat exploded with notifications after Lexi's accidental voice memo upload. I watched the messages scroll across my phone screen, each one more frantic than the last. Delete it! Taylor had typed in all caps. OMG, how do I unsend? Lexi responded. Flynn chimed in. Mom doesn't check the chat anyway. She can barely work her phone. I smiled, taking screenshots of everything before they managed to remove the evidence. Harper, reading over my shoulder, whistled low. Your daughter really said all that about the house deed? Apparently, I'm insanely stubborn about not signing over my home to them. I forwarded the screenshots to Royal. How inconsiderate of me. A soft knock interrupted us. Flynn stood in the doorway, looking uncomfortable in his expensive suit. Mom, can we talk? Harper squeezed my shoulder before leaving. I arranged my features into mild confusion. Flynn, is it Tuesday already? It's Thursday, Mom. He sat down, fidgeting with his Rolex, the one Zion had given him for his 35th birthday. I wanted to discuss something important. Is it about your father's cars? I asked innocently. I keep thinking I hear his Mustang in the parking lot. Flynn's face tightened. No, Mom. Listen, I have a friend who specializes in estate planning. He knows ways to set up a trust that could protect everything, make it easier for everyone. Easier? I picked up my journal, pretending to doodle while actually transcribing every word. You wouldn't have to worry about managing anything. We could handle all the decisions, the paperwork. He leaned forward. It would be better than leaving things to chance. Like leaving things to Royal? I watched him flinch at our lawyer's name. Royal's traditional. My friend has more creative solutions. I let my pen slip, creating a long mark across the page. Oh dear, my hands are so shaky today. Would you read me what I just wrote? The letters seemed to blur. Flynn glanced at the journal, then quickly away. Just as I thought. He couldn't be bothered to actually read my confused ramblings. It's fine, Mom. Just notes about your day, I'm sure. He stood up. Think about what I said about the trust, okay? After he left, I added his exact words to my evidence file. Then I opened my phone's calendar to tomorrow's date, the 1-month anniversary of Zion's death. They're planning a beach trip, Harper said from the doorway, holding up her phone. Your children's social media is interesting today. I looked at Lexi's latest Instagram post. Sometimes you need a girls' weekend. Can't wait to hit the coast with Taylor Realtor. The timestamp matched exactly with tomorrow's date. Did you see Taylor's post about the new vacation home listing? Harper scrolled down. She's hosting an open house tomorrow afternoon. And Flynn? Business meeting in the city. Very important potential investors, according to LinkedIn. I touched Zion's ring around my neck. Not one of them remembered. Harper sat down beside me. I have something else you should see. She pulled out a folder. Remember when you asked me to look into the classic car transfers? Inside was a detailed report. Taylor hadn't just transferred ownership of Zion's beloved car collection. She'd already sold 3 of them, including the Mustang he'd restored by hand. The money went to a private account, Harper pointed out. Opened 2 days after your husband's funeral. My hands didn't shake at all as I added this to my growing file. $1.2 million. That's what his passion was worth to her. Mrs. Layla, Harper hesitated. Are you sure you want to go through with all this? They're still your children. No, I said quietly. My children were the ones who used to help their father polish those cars every Sunday, who celebrated his recovery milestones during cancer treatment, who promised him they'd take care of me. I closed my journal firmly. These people? They're strangers wearing familiar faces. My phone buzzed with a message from Royal. Everything's prepared for next week's meeting. Are you ready? I thought about Flynn's creative solutions, Taylor's secret account, and Lexi's beach plans for her father's memorial date. Yes, I typed back. It's time. Harper gathered her files. Want me to bring you some tea? Please. I picked up my pen again. I have a lot to write tonight. After she left, I opened my journal to a fresh page and began. Dear Zion, today our son tried to convince me to sign away our legacy. Remember how you always said karma moves slowly but strikes quickly? I think it's finally picking up speed. The pen moved steadily across the page, recording every detail, every betrayal, every piece of evidence. Tomorrow they would toast to their beach views and business deals, forgetting what day it was. But, I remembered, and soon they would never forget again. Welcome everyone to Lavender Hills Family Wellness Day. The activities director's voice echoed through the common room. Today, we're especially excited to hear from our residents about their experiences with grief and healing. I sat in the front row, wearing my best blouse, the deep blue one Zion always loved. Harper had styled my hair, and for once I wasn't pretending to shake or mumble. Mrs. Layla. The director smiled warmly. Would you like to share first? I approached the podium, aware of Shiloh from the administrative office recording the session for their website. Perfect. Grief, I began, my voice clear and strong, is a peculiar companion. It arrives uninvited and rearranges everything you thought you knew. I paused, meeting the eyes of other residents. My husband, Zion, passed away 6 weeks ago. We were married for 47 years. The room was silent, captivated. Some days I find myself reaching for him. Other days I feel his presence so strongly in the lessons he left behind. He taught our children about integrity, about earning what you receive. My hands remained steady on the podium. He believed that our legacy wasn't in our possessions, but in our actions. From the back of the room, I heard hurried footsteps. Taylor and Flynn had arrived mid-speech, their faces darkening as they realized what was happening. Memory is a gift, I continued, my voice growing stronger. Even when it brings pain, it brings truth. And truth, my dear husband always said, is the most valuable inheritance we can leave behind. The audience applauded as I finished. Several residents wiped tears. Shiloh gave me a thumbs up, indicating she'd captured everything. Mom! Taylor grabbed my arm as I stepped down. What are you doing? Sharing memories, I said, allowing a slight waver to return to my voice. Isn't that why you wanted me here? To work through my confusion? Flynn pulled Taylor aside, their whispers harsh and urgent. I caught fragments. Power of attorney. Royal. Can't risk. Harper appeared at my side. That was beautiful, Mrs. Layla. So articulate and meaningful. Taylor's head snapped around. Shouldn't you be attending to other residents? Actually, Harper smiled sweetly. Documenting resident activities is part of my job. That speech was remarkably clear-minded, wasn't it? Flynn's phone buzzed. His face went pale as he read the message. Taylor, he hissed. Royal just sent out invitations for a family will review. Next week. What? Taylor grabbed his phone. In accordance with Zion's legacy and Layla's extended estate wishes. What does that mean? I hummed softly, pretending to be fascinated by the potted plant beside me. Mom. Flynn turned to me, his voice artificially gentle. Did you speak with Royal recently? Royal? I blinked innocently. Your father's lawyer? Such a nice man, always looking out for our best interests. Taylor's perfectly manicured nails dug into her palm. We need to call him. Now. They rushed out, already dialing. Harper watched them go, then turned to me with raised eyebrows. The timing of that invitation was interesting. was it? I smiled. I suppose Royal must have watched the live stream of my speech. A staff member approached with an envelope. Mrs. Layla, this just arrived for you. Inside was a notarized statement from Neil, our former financial consultant. It detailed every transaction Taylor had forced through after Zion's death, every document she'd altered, every trust she'd tried to establish without proper authorization. Check your email, I told Harper. She pulled out her phone, gasping softly at the forwarded message from Royal. Did your husband know? Zion kept a separate record of everything, I said quietly. He knew them better than they thought, better than I wanted to believe. The sound of arguing drifted in from the hallway. Taylor and Flynn's voices rose and fell, panic seeping through their practiced composure. They'll try to stop this, Harper warned. Let them try. I tucked Neil's statement into my journal. The truth doesn't need their permission to emerge. My phone lit up with a message from Lexi. Mom, please, can we talk? Just us. And so it begins, I murmured, showing Harper the text. They'll each try to negotiate separately now. Watch. Sure enough, Flynn appeared in my doorway minutes later, his confident facade cracking. Mom, about that trust I mentioned. Oh, honey, I said, letting genuine sadness color my voice. Is this about the loans your father gave you? The ones you never repaid? His face went white. Behind him, I saw Taylor freeze mid-stride in the hallway. How did you? Flynn started. I turned to the window, fingering Zion's ring. You know what your father said about karma. It's like a boomerang. It always comes back around. The invitation to the will reading felt heavy in my pocket, weighted with secrets and soon-to-be-revealed truths. In 1 week, everything would change. I was ready. The night before the will reading, my children arrived one by one, like actors taking their final shots at a scene they were about to lose. Lexi came first, her Instagram-perfect makeup slightly smudged. Mom, can we talk about tomorrow? I set down my journal. Of course, sweetheart. Are you bringing those lovely vacation photos from the beach last week? She flinched. The beach trip had been on the 1-month anniversary of Zion's death. About that. She perched on the edge of my bed. I know I haven't been here as much as I should. It's just been hard, seeing you like this. Like what? You know. She gestured vaguely. Confused. Forgetful. I picked up my pen, pretending to write shakily. Am I confused, Lexi? Or are you? What do you mean? I'm confused about the money you borrowed from your father, I said softly. The loans you never really paid back, just moved around between accounts. The color drained from her face. How did you? Your father kept records of everything, even the night you came crying to him about your credit card debt. He helped you, didn't he? Like he always did. Tears spilled down her cheeks, smearing her mascara. Mom, please, I can explain. Too late for explanations now, dear. She fled the room just as Flynn arrived, his business suit wrinkled from a long day of failed meetings. Mom, about tomorrow. He stopped, noticing my clear-eyed stare. Have you been taking your medications? Would you like to see the ledger, Flynn? I opened my drawer. The one showing exactly how much you owe your dead father? He grabbed the edge of my chair. That's impossible. Those records were deleted, hidden. I smiled. Your father was old-fashioned. He kept paper copies. I can pay it back, he whispered. I just need time. Time. I laughed softly. Like the time you gave him when he was dying? when you were too busy chasing investors to visit. Flynn sank to his knees, suddenly looking very young. Mom, everything's falling apart. My business. You need money, I finished. You've always needed money, but what your father and I needed was a son. He broke down crying, head in my lap like when he was small. I stroked his hair once, gently. It's too far for tears now. Taylor arrived last, her heels announcing her presence before she appeared in my doorway. She took in Flynn's tearful exit with narrowed eyes. Whatever game you're playing, Mom, it needs to stop. Game? I tilted my head. Like selling your father's car collection behind my back? She stepped forward, voice low and dangerous. I did what was necessary. You're not competent to manage the estate. $1.2 million, I said clearly. That's what his passion was worth to you. I'll fight this, she hissed. I'll contest everything. With what evidence? I held up my phone, playing back her conversation with Neil about doctoring documents. Your father taught you to play chess, Taylor, but he taught me how to win. I'll get a lawyer. I'll prove you're not competent. Harper appeared in the doorway, holding up her tablet. Like she wasn't competent during that beautiful speech at Family Wellness Day. The one with over 10,000 views now. Taylor's professional mask cracked. You planned this. All of it. The confusion. The care home. You gave me the script, I said quietly. I just performed it better than you expected. This will destroy us, she whispered. No, I corrected. Your choices did that already. After she stormed out, Harper helped me prepare my outfit for tomorrow. Are you ready for this? I touched Zion's ring, remembering his words. Make them earn our name. They thought grief made me weak, I said, laying out my clothes. They forgot that grief can also make you ruthless. My phone buzzed with a final message from Royal. Everything's in place for tomorrow. Last chance to change your mind. I thought about Taylor's threats, Flynn's tears, Lexi's excuses, about empty chairs during Zion's final days and beach trips during his memorial. No changes, I typed back. Let justice play its part. Harper squeezed my shoulder. Try to sleep. Tomorrow will be intense. But as I lay in bed, I opened my journal one last time. Dear Zion, I wrote, tomorrow our children will learn that inheritance isn't just about money. It's about consequences, about truth, about earning the legacy you tried so hard to teach them. I closed the journal, ready for what morning would bring. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting people face what they've become. Royal's office felt smaller, with all of us crowded inside. My children sat stiffly in their chairs, while Harper stood quietly by the door, tablet in hand. I'd insisted on her presence, my caregiver support. Taylor had tried to object, but Royal smoothly pointed out that my right to have assistance was protected by law. Before we begin, Royal adjusted his glasses. Mrs. Layla has requested to say a few words. I stood, steady and clear-eyed. No tremors, no confusion. My children shifted uncomfortably. The day your father died, I began, each of you made promises. Taylor, you promised to protect his legacy. Flynn, you swore to honor his name. Lexi, you said you'd take care of me. I paused. You've broken every single one. Mom, Taylor started, but Royal held up his hand. Let her finish. What you don't know, I continued, is that your father spent his final weeks documenting everything, every secret loan, every hidden transfer, every whispered plan to protect the estate from your confused mother. Flynn's face went pale. Lexi started crying silently. "Proceed with the reading." I nodded to Royal. He opened the will. "To my daughter Taylor, I leave the antique armchair where your father spent his last days. The one piece of furniture you didn't try to claim for yourself." Taylor's hands clenched into fists. "To my son Flynn, I leave the complete ledger of your business loans, totaling $847,000, along with your father's personal notes about your promises to repay him." Flynn slumped in his chair. "To my daughter Lexi, I leave our family photo album, with special attention to page 42, the receipt for your secret loan repayments that never actually reached any accounts." Lexi's mascara ran in black streams down her cheeks. "The remainder of the estate," Royal continued, "will be divided among 3 charitable foundations: the Veterans Education Fund, the Downtown Women's Shelter, and the Children's Medical Research Institute." "This is ridiculous!" Taylor stood up. "She's not competent to make these decisions." Royal smiled thinly. "I have here a complete psychological evaluation from last week, confirming Mrs. Layla's full mental capacity. Along with this," he played the video of my Family Wellness Day speech. "You can't do this." Flynn's voice cracked. "We're your children." "Are you?" I asked quietly. My children would have sat with their father during chemotherapy instead of checking investment portfolios, would have remembered his memorial date instead of planning beach trips, would have protected his beloved car collection instead of selling it for profit. Harper stepped forward, displaying her tablet. "I have here documentation of every car sale, every unauthorized transfer, and every attempt to establish illegal trusts. You helped her?" Taylor spun toward Harper. "You're just a caregiver." "Former law student, actually," Harper replied calmly, "and everything I documented was perfectly legal." "There's more," Royal added, producing another envelope. "A letter from Zion himself, written 3 days before he died." My children froze as Royal began to read. "My dearest Layla, I see what they're planning. I see the vultures our children have become. Make them earn our name, love. Make them remember who they were meant to be." "Daddy knew," Lexi whispered. "He knew everything," I said softly. "And now, so does everyone else." Taylor lunged for the documents, but Royal was faster. "I wouldn't," he warned. "These are all copies. The originals are safely filed with the court. We'll contest this," Taylor snarled. "We'll fight you." "With what evidence?" I asked. "Your documented coercion of your dying father, the illegal property transfers, the hidden accounts?" Flynn stood up shakily. "Mom, please, my company's about to go bankrupt." "Perhaps you should have thought of that before embezzling from your father's medical fund." Lexi tried one last time. "We can fix this. As a family." "Family?" I touched Zion's ring. "Family doesn't plot against each other. Family doesn't fake their mother's incompetence. Family shows up when it matters, not just when there's money to be claimed." "This meeting is concluded," Royal announced. "The will is final and legally binding." Taylor stormed out first, her perfect facade cracking. Flynn followed, broken and defeated. Lexi lingered at the door, mascara-stained face turning back once. "Was any of it real?" she asked. "Your confusion, as real as your love," I replied. After they left, Harper touched my shoulder. "Are you okay?" I looked at Royal, who nodded slightly. Everything had gone exactly as planned. "I'm better than okay," I said, standing tall. "I'm free." The truth had finally been spoken. The consequences had finally landed. And somewhere, I knew Zion was smiling. Justice, after all, had its own kind of poetry. The roses in Lavender Hill's garden bloom bright against the autumn sky. I watch from my favourite bench as volunteers from the women's shelter, now generously funded, plant new bulbs for spring. Their laughter carries across the lawn, a sound of healing and hope. Tea. Harper settles beside me, offering a steaming cup. Royal called. Taylor's real estate license is under review for ethical violations. And Flynn, his company filed for bankruptcy yesterday. The investigators found everything. I sip my tea, letting the warmth spread through my hands. And Lexi. Harper shows me her phone. Lexi's latest Instagram post is different from her usual filtered perfection. It's a raw, unedited video about elder abuse awareness. The caption reads, "Sometimes the hardest truths come from our own mistakes." Aging with dignity. Family karma. She's the only one who might learn from this, I murmur. Speaking of learning, Harper pulls out an envelope. The first scholarship recipients from the Veterans Education Fund want to thank you. They're visiting next week. The thought of Zion's legacy helping young veterans warms me more than any tea could. He would have loved that. A commotion at the entrance draws our attention. Taylor stands there, her designer outfit slightly disheveled, her perfect mask cracking. "Mom!" she calls out, walking toward us. "We need to talk." Harper starts to rise, but I touch her arm. "Stay." Taylor reaches our bench, her eyes darting between us. "I've lost 3 listings this week. My reputation is finally reflecting reality." I finish for her. "How could you do this to us?" Her voice cracks. "We're your children." No. I set down my teacup. My children died slowly, poisoned by greed and entitlement. I don't know who you are anymore. "We were trying to protect you by selling your father's cars, by faking my incompetence, by planning your beach vacation on his memorial date." She flinches at each accusation. "I can't lose everything." "You already did," I say quietly. "Long before the will reading. You lost your integrity, your compassion, your father's trust. The rest is just paperwork." Tears smear her perfect makeup. "Flynn's talking about moving abroad. Lexi won't speak to either of us. You've destroyed our family. You did that yourselves. I just exposed the cracks you created." A young volunteer approaches with fresh roses. "Mrs. Layla, would you like to help us plant these? You mentioned they were your husband's favorite." Taylor watches as I stand, steady and sure. "You were never confused, were you?" "Only about how my children became strangers." She leaves without another word, her heels clicking against the pathway like a countdown to consequences. Harper helps me kneel by the flower bed. Did it feel worth it? I sink my hands into the rich earth, remembering Zion's rose garden at home. It felt necessary. And now? Now I plant new things, better things. I gesture toward the shelter volunteers. "Look what blooms from truth and justice." My phone buzzes with a message from Lexi. The shelter loved my social media campaign idea. Can we talk? Really talk. "Will you answer her?" Harper asks. "Eventually, when she's ready to earn trust, not just ask for it." We work in comfortable silence, planting roses that will bloom next spring. Each one feels like a promise, a reminder that growth comes after the hardest pruning. Later, in my room, I open my journal one last time. The pages are filled with evidence, plans, and pain, but the final page remains empty until now. "Dear Zion," I write, "today I planted roses with women who remind me of who our children once were. Hopeful, genuine, unafraid of honest work. I wish they could see themselves through your eyes one last time, see how far they've fallen from the people we raised them to be. But I kept my promise to you. I made them face their choices. I protected your legacy from becoming just another inheritance to squander. And somewhere between their betrayal and justice, I found myself again. I didn't lose my mind in grief, my love. I reclaimed it. Harper knocked softly, entering with fresh tea. Royal sent over the final paperwork for the foundations. Want to review them? I closed my journal, feeling the weight of Zion's ring against my chest. Yes, it's time to build something new. Outside, the roses catch the evening light, their petals glowing like small flames of hope. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in winning the battle, but in choosing which gardens to tend afterward. I pick up my pen, ready to sign the papers that will transform betrayal into blessing. After all, the best revenge isn't just serving justice, it's growing something beautiful from its ashes.